I have a very good hype team this morning. It's great. I don't know how I'm supposed to follow that. They're going to be the best act of the day. I just want to start by saying good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. I don't think y'all are excited enough to be championing Kentucky's kids. I say good morning. Good morning. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for being here today to celebrate Kentucky's kids and be champions for them all across the Commonwealth. I wanted to start out by saying it's not every day that we all get to gather here in the Rotunda in the Capitol building for the same agenda. A lot of times we're here on different sides, but today we get to celebrate Kentucky's kids all together for the same reasons, which I think is really special. And we get to celebrate, the fact that we get to rely on one another to do the hard work that it takes to make the Commonwealth a great place for our kids and families to be just kids and families. And as somebody who grew up in foster care in the Commonwealth and is now a young adult and been an advocate for years for Kentucky's kids, I know how important it is for an individual, a child, or a family to be just a child or a family. And so throughout the years, I've been able to advocate for policies and systemic changes that help kids in the Commonwealth. So today, since we are celebrating Kentucky's kids, I want to use this platform to uplift the most important thing that I've found throughout the years, which is the importance of the engagement of our young people throughout the Commonwealth. Their voices are the most important ones that we should be listening to when we're up here in Frankfort, when we're making policies, when we're back in our own hometowns, working in schools or working in agencies and making programs for them. Their voices are the ones we need to hear because they're the ones who are going to tell us what their needs are. So today, I would like to use this platform to invite all of the young people who are here, from our littles all the way up to our young adult advocates, to just use this platform and make your voices and your needs heard, because you deserve to take up space and your needs deserve to be addressed. So I'm going to tell you how to do that right, because inspiration without action steps is just a dream. So we're going to make that a goal. Some ways that you can get involved if you want to voice your needs or tell your story. You can call, write, and email your legislators. If you don't know who they are, you can get on the LRC website. Google is a thing, so just type that in there. It'll put you right to it. So you can call, email, and write them. Tell them what your needs are, what your ideas are. You can also write blogs if you're someone who might be afraid to speak, or you're uncomfortable with it, or you think you're a good writer. You can write blogs. You can also network with people in your own community. So whether that's individuals in your schools, individuals in other community agencies, at your faith-based communities, or other advocacy organizations, definitely reach out to those and get your stories out there, because again, that's the way that we're going to find out what the needs are of children in the Commonwealth. Sometimes the representatives in Frankfort or representatives in our community, the leaders, they don't know what our needs are until we voice them ourselves. So make sure you're using this platform today as the start of your journey to let everyone know what your needs are and what your wants are. So the engagement of our young people is, the most important thing when we're doing this work. It's vital to our success in making a Commonwealth the best place for a kid to be. As we celebrate today our past successes for children in the Commonwealth, I also raise a call to action. The action demanding a continuous, authentic partnership with young people in the Commonwealth in order to better understand their needs and ensure that we are serving them to the best of our ability. I believe it's every single person's duty in this room and outside to rise to this call of action. It takes a village to raise a child. We've all heard that. And we are that village. Everyone in this room and everyone outside of this room, everyone in Kentucky is that village. And I'm going to leave you today with a quote that I've carried with me for years. As a young advocate, I heard an individual say this, and it has stuck with me forever. And it kind of goes with what I've been saying about us being that village. A child who is not embraced by that village will burn it down to feel its warmth. So we want to make sure that we are continuing to show up for Kentucky's kids every single day the way that we're doing it here today. And once again, I just thank you for being here. I hope you all feel excited to see what we have planned today, and I hope you enjoy all of the activities that are coming. And at this time, I'd like to welcome Paige from Aetna to give a few remarks.
Hi, good morning, everyone. It's so great to see everyone here this morning. Welcome to the Capitol Rally for Kentucky's Children. I'm Paige Mankiewicz. I'm the Chief Executive Officer and Market President for Aetna Better Health of Kentucky, and Aetna is thrilled to partner with Kentucky Youth Advocates once again this year as the signature sponsor for this week of concentrated advocacy. So what is advocacy? Advocacy is arguing for a cause, defending a cause, or pleading for change on behalf of others. The amazing thing about advocacy is that anyone who believes in a cause, like improving health and wellness outcomes for Kentucky's youth, can be an advocate. There are no other requirements. To that end, some of the best advocates for changing policy that affects Kentucky's youth are Kentucky's youth. It is so great to see young people here today that are committed to being part of this process. Allowing the youth voice to play a critical role in dialogue is an integral part of Aetna's approach to policy. Even the most well-meaning employee in an office may not have the critical perspectives required to match needs with policy. This is why Aetna has several youth committees where our members can volunteer their time to help ensure their needs are being met. The same logic applies to common sense policies affecting Kentucky's youth. Young people, you deserve a seat at the table. You deserve the opportunity to be part of the conversation and to be part of the change. And I'm so glad to see each of you here today. What we are doing this week and what we do throughout the year in every small meeting or brief conversation truly makes a difference. To everyone making time to participate in Children's Advocacy Week, thank you. By working together and using every tool at our disposal, we can affect meaning and lasting change. Thanks.
Well, good morning. I'm Terry Brooks with Kentucky Youth Advocates. We are so humbled at this turnout. We appreciate so very, very much all of you being here today. Before we get into the formal part of the program, I'm going to do a high-risk activity, which is to try to glance at the crowd and discern some special guests whom we have here, and I want to recognize them. And then I'm going to do a little bit more formal intro to some folks that you probably know who are in the front of the room. So I know Senator Higdon, Senator Raque, Representative Herron are here. We appreciate you guys being here representing the legislative branches. Thanks for being here today. One of the things that Governor Beshear has done is put together a really excellent team of Voices for Kids. I see two folks today who I rely on consistently. One of those is Raque Adams. The other is Secretary Eric Friedlander. Raque and Eric, thanks for all you do for kids. Additionally, I want to recognize Agriculture Commissioner Ryan Quarles. And Commissioner Quarles did great work on food insecurity during the pandemic. And Ryan, we appreciate the leadership that you showed on that. You can't look in the crowd and not give a special shout out to a bunch of brand new moms from VOA. So welcome Freedom House, folks. One of our key sponsors is Save the Children, and I believe they are occupying the entire left side of the rotunda, so thanks to Save the Children. We also want to give special recognition to a number of sponsors that we have. You'll see those noted. Not only is Aetna part of that, but we have a number of other sponsors: Save the Children, Cozair Charities for Children, 7 counties, and we appreciate all of their support because this week would not be happening without them. As folks have noted, we are especially excited at the youth presence here. Some of you have heard this. Some of you have heard this story too many times, but 18 years ago was the first Children's Advocacy Day. And 10 of us, and I counted myself twice, stood around the Lincoln statue. There wasn't a single kid here. So look at how that's changed, and that's a good thing. We have folks from Taylor County, Madison County, the Chestnut YMCA in Louisville, the Healthy Ambassador Group. We have Reform Louisville, which is a group of Louisville young people centered on juvenile justice. True Up, a network of former foster care youth, is here. And we have the 4th grade Danville Montessori class here. So welcome to all of you all. And let me just stress to you, they're not just here because they make the crowd look good. I was actually kidding some of our friends from Graves County. Our Graves County contingent actually helped kick off Kids Count this year along with Lieutenant Governor Coleman. And so I was talking to them and I said something about what a sacrifice to miss a day of school. You know, I was kidding them. But they told me that they left home at 4 a.m. yesterday. They spent yesterday meeting with Senate leadership on health policy, and I think they finished their advocacy training with us at about 9 o'clock last night. So there they are, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and here to do business. So thanks for being here. So what's the meat of today? My wife and I are really enjoying a sermon series we're in, and the seminal question is, are you an overcomer or an undercomer? That question in that context is about our faith. But I would suggest that the same essential question is at play in the rotunda today. When it comes to Kentucky's kids, are we a commonwealth that overcomes, or can we be satisfied with undercoming? And you know the answer. I mean, knowing that 220,000 kids today wake up living in poverty, we have to be an overcoming state. Knowing that in the last 12 months, 18,000 children experienced abuse, we have to be overcoming. Knowing despite the best efforts of dedicated educators that more than 2 out of 3 fourth graders do not meet minimal proficiency for reading, we have to be overcomers. Knowing that today, more than 100,000 little boys and little girls are waking up and they have a mom or a dad who is locked up, that's a shared sentence that we have to overcome. Overcoming for Kentucky's kids is going to require you, and it's going to require so many, many folks to be part of that. And that's what we want to center on today. One of the things that I enter today with is optimism, because I know that you and I both read the same news. I know that you and I hear a lot about what can't get done in Frankfurt or in Washington. That's simply not my experience. What I have found is that folks who may not agree on the day of the week inevitably can find common ground, common sense, and common good for solutions when it comes to kids. And that's what I want us to focus on today. Not what we can't do, but what we can do together. We want to highlight some key players to make that possible. We're going to start with some recognizing some voices that are so important. Then we're going to recognize some colleagues of ours that make a difference. But again, I want you to as you listen to folks today, I want you to be thinking about what are our opportunities to overcome on behalf of Kentucky's kids and reject that notion of accepting how things are. As you know, Kentucky's kids have to count on the judiciary, the General Assembly, and the executive branch to get things done. And let me tell you, when it comes to the General Assembly, there is not a stronger champion for Kentucky's kids than Senator Julie Raque Adams. Senator Raque Adams is always there to push the hard agenda items and to take great ideas and make them into today's realities. Senator, thanks for being here, and we'd love for you to come up.
Oh no, the kids are leaving. Did I say something? Did I say something already? They're ready, yeah, exactly. So I'm really excited to be here today. And Terry Brooks got it right. He said very rarely do you have this many people in the same space that all agree on one thing. And it's how do we help kids in the Commonwealth and how do we help families do a better job for our kids too. So thank you very much for everybody being here this morning. It's really, really critical. So the other thing too is that we have to harness this energy. We have to harness these numbers, and we need to go forth and advocate today to talk to as many people as we can to make sure that we put forward innovative public policy, creative public policy, new and dynamic, interesting things to do to help families, because families continue to evolve. And so our public policy has to evolve. And one of the most important things about making successful public policy is that you got to put the money behind the policy. You have to put the money where your mouth is. And so those are very critical trains that are running down parallel tracks when it comes to kids and families. We did a great job of that last session, budget session. We increased pay for social workers because they are on the front lines. We not only need more of them, but we need to pay them better. And so we were committed to that. We need to put money into prevention services, which is what we did. We have to help those people who are the front lines with our prevention services, so we are committed to that. And so I can't say enough. The other thing too, it's really interesting when it comes to policies that affect kids. You think about, okay, well, I need to go talk to the legislators that are on the Health Family Services Committee. That's not exactly true. Policies that touch kids and families are across all of our committees. If you look at our Judiciary Committee, we passed out the Dignity Bill, which allows moms who are in substance abuse treatment recovery to have healthy babies. That came out of the Judiciary Committee. Another thing that came out of the Judiciary Committee is we outlawed child marriage in the state of Kentucky. We were trafficking kids, and it was really unacceptable. You talk about the Agriculture Committee. We passed out an animal abuse bill, because if you abuse an animal, guess who your next target is? It's a child, or it's the mother of that child. So that is a real determinant in how we treat our kids going forward. So anyways, you know me, I'm your advocate. You can always call me, even if I'm not your person. I'll be your person, because this is very personal to me. We have to do a better job of taking care of our kids and our families. And so let's go get them today.
I would be so scared if I were a senator who disagreed with Julie Raque Adams. I would be really afraid of that. Before I introduce the governor, I want to take just a second and make sure we recognize Lieutenant Governor Coleman. She knows that there is no one who we rely on more than the Lieutenant Governor. We kicked off Children's Advocacy Week on Monday. My colleagues several months ago were going over all the different decisions, and one of them they didn't go over. They're like, well, we know who you want to kick it off. And I'm like, yeah, it's Lieutenant Governor Coleman. So we appreciate, Lieutenant Governor, all you do with us and for kids. To say that Governor Beshear may not have predicted the pandemic and the spate of natural disasters when he was running may be an understatement. He has every reason to talk about crisis management, doing the urgent and not the important, that difference of urgent and important. When it comes to kids, the ultimate compliment to his leadership is he stayed focused on the important when it comes to kids. Governor, I know you have a laser focus when it comes to kids, and I appreciate it, and Kentucky's kids are very lucky to have you.
Good morning, and everybody, welcome to your state capitol. As you are here today rallying for kids, for the very best for all of our young people, I want you to know the reason I ran for this office and the office before it is I think my kids, Will and Lila, deserve a better world, and I think each of you all do too. When we look at what afflicts our young people, things like poverty, we see that in lifting our young people up, it requires that we lift their entire families up. That if we do not address the challenges that our parents face, that ultimately our kids suffer as well. So today, I think we are saying when we act wisely and compassionately towards our neighbors, folks who are struggling, facing challenges like addiction, being laid off, struggling to pay for prescription drugs, that we not only help those individuals, we not only live out our faith and values, but we help their children have a better life too. It also says when we act callously, cutting unemployment, siding with Big Pharma, or eliminating key services, we don't just hurt those in those programs, we hurt their entire families. The truth of this connection between the well-being of parents and our young adults and children was shown when we finally got that last section of kids that qualify for K-CHIP signed up. It didn't happen until we expanded Medicaid to their parents. So a big thank you to folks who got that done, my parents, Steve and Jane Beshear. And I think that ensuring healthy parents cultivate healthy children isn't all that complicated. All it requires us to do is to push out the politics and to focus on those concerns and challenges that our parents face on a nightly basis. Things like, do I have a good job? One where I can provide opportunity and security for my family? Can I afford to take my kids or my parents to a doctor when they're sick? Do I feel safe in my home and in my community? And are my kids getting the world-class education that they deserve? Thankfully, on that first question, on that job to provide for our families, we are sitting at a moment not only of more hope, but of more promise and possibility than ever before. Folks, we are coming off our best 2 years of economic development in our lifetimes, and the dividends that it's going to pay for our young people are going to be incredible. We're here at that precipice of turning around that brain drain where our talented youth leave Kentucky, and we start bringing other talented youth into Kentucky. Over these last couple years, we've had $24 billion of new private sector investment when we used to average just 5. And since I've become governor, we've created 43,000 jobs at the second and third highest wages we've ever announced. We have had the lowest unemployment rate in Kentucky 3 separate times over this last year, and we did something last year that we can be proud of. We got a lot of statistics that we've got to work on. But do you realize last year, for 2 separate months, Kentucky led the entire country in new job growth? First time we've ever done that. And that's not just great for our economy, it's great for our kids. It's great for the security that people needing a better job can provide for them right now, and it's great for the opportunities of all of our young adults that are here, because they are going to have more possibilities in this state, and we're going to need your leadership more than ever before to grasp this opportunity at prosperity and to be a national economic leader. But to sustain this growth, to actually take advantage of this potential to ensure our future remains bright for all of our young people, we must have the courage to make investments. We have to face the challenges of today while investing in the future of tomorrow. That's why the Lieutenant Governor and I announced our Education First plan, which we believe is necessary right now to ensure the very best for our future. The first part of the plan is to provide funding for an additional 5% raise for every teacher, educator, and public school employee. If we claim our children deserve the very best, then the very least they deserve is a math, an English, a social studies teacher, and all the other teachers in their room. They deserve a bus driver and enough to run every bus route. They deserve enough counselors with everything our young people are going through, and they deserve the interventionists that thankfully the General Assembly has helped create the slots. Now we've just got to make sure we have that wage where we can get individuals in them. It's not only the right thing to do, it's what we must do to remain competitive. We cannot prepare for the next generation for opportunities of the future if we have to scramble every single year to find enough great volunteers or subs just to have somebody in the classroom. We also know that we have to make up for learning loss that has happened through our young people's sacrifice in the pandemic. And let me tell you, to all of our young people, never let somebody call you a young leader. You are a leader. What you did and what you gave up in the pandemic was just as important as what anybody else did in the pandemic. And because of your work, your leadership, and your sacrifice, tens of thousands of people are alive. I'm real proud of our young people and what they did. But as not only a governor, but a parent of 2 middle schoolers, I lived through it. I sat next to them. And I know we've got work to do, but I know this simple fact. We can't catch a kid up on math if they don't have a math teacher. Let's make sure we don't just beat each other up over learning loss. We fix it. We do something about it, and we put our children first. Putting our children first means it's also time for universal pre-K for every 4-year-old in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. I see all the signs, and you're right, every kid matters. So no kid should start kindergarten behind. No child should ever show up without the skills to be kindergarten ready, and you can see study after study after study what it means. But you know what? We got to do it to remain competitive now, because Cincinnati, just across the river from northern Kentucky, announced they were going to do universal pre-K in their city. What must a set of young parents struggling to pay for pre-K? What must a teacher who knows how important pre-K is but has trouble affording it for their own children think, living in northern Kentucky, looking at opportunity right across that river? It is time for universal pre-K, and let me tell you, at $160 million a year, with more than $2 billion in additional revenue coming in this biennial budget than we're spending, we can more than afford it. In fact, we cannot afford to wait one more year. And our Education First also provides money for emotional and mental health support, not just for our kids, but for our educators, as we listen to our young people, and we need to, because it wasn't as hard being a teenager when I was one than it is right now. The pressures you face, social media, bullying, and the rest, we need to listen to you for your needs. And then we need to provide that same help to our teachers and educators, our Friskies who help you walk through that trauma every day and do their very best. We also have to make sure that we are continuing to expand healthcare and healthcare access all across Kentucky, because we can't have healthy children and healthy adults if we don't have access to affordable health care. It's why we've been so excited that we're opening up new hospitals and groups all over Kentucky, a new hospital in Bullock County, a new autism center in Prestonsburg, and we broke ground for what will be the first hospital in the west end of Louisville in 150 years. We're expanding Medicaid, because if we can get our adults that are on Medicaid healthier, we can improve an entire family. We did things like expand the amount of time that a pregnant or a new mother has on Medicaid with their child to get everyone off to the best start. We expanded Medicaid to vision, hearing, and dental. Pretty simple. If we want somebody to go to work, they got to be able to see well enough to drive to work. So let's get them a pair of glasses. It's going to help that entire family. And this last 2 years, and I want to thank the General Assembly for helping to make this happen, we have put more money into the Kentucky Pediatric Cancer Research Trust Fund than ever before. We have so many kids afflicted with the unimaginable. And while our healthcare heroes do their best, more research is needed. We need to make sure we're investing the dollars through our institutions to give every child the best chance at life, including those that come down with an even rare form of cancer. As your governor, the safety, the well-being, but ultimately the prosperity of all of our young Kentuckians is why I do this. I want you to have the brightest future possible, and I want you to have it here. No matter how big you dream, no matter what your dream is, I want you to have a path to follow it right here in Kentucky. And to do that, to reach our potential, to fill all these great new jobs we're creating, like we've created since we've become the electric vehicle battery production capital of the United States of America. I'll never forget sitting across from one of those companies and them saying, "Governor, we're going to need hundreds of engineers." That sounds wonderful for our young people and their futures in front of us. But to do that, let's remember that we have to help everybody out. The great lesson of COVID is everybody counts, and we have to lift everybody up. That's the same lesson as we enter this new era of prosperity, one where we have to ensure that every family has that good job. Scripture guides us, the king will reply, "Truly I tell you, whatever you do for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did to me." Let's make sure we're looking out for one another. Let's make sure we're lifting up families that are struggling, because when we do that, we help the entire family, and we give every single Kentucky child, young person, or young adult the best chance at their future. We love you. We're so excited to have you in the Capitol. Get out there and tell everybody what our state needs to do. This is your Commonwealth. No matter how old you are, no matter what you've been through, this is your Commonwealth. We all deserve better. Let's go make it better. Thank you.
Governor, thank you so much. The most exciting thing he said was that if you can't call a young person a young leader, I want some of you to stop calling me an old leader, okay? So just do that. So that in order to
No deal.
in order to overcome, we need lots of folks doing that. So you've heard we need the General Assembly. We need our courts. We need an executive branch. We need all of you. I mean, I was standing over there and looking. Is it pretty cool that we're all the way to the third level of the Capitol today for attendees? Thank you all for being here. However, it's also important to symbolically recognize folks who have played a special role in helping kids. Now, I want to remind you that we are going to do a special ceremony at 1 o'clock today on the mezzanine recognizing legislators. And those legislators are going to be formally recognized. Then I do want to just make sure you know who is going to be recognized. Representative Heverin. We're going to have Senator Raque Adams again. We have Senator Wise, Senator Carroll, Senator Howell, Representative Mosier, Representative McCool, Representative Wilner. We're also going to recognize another legislator, but we're going to do a special award in just a moment, so I'm going to save him. So that's going to be at 1 o'clock. It is so important for you to be there, because when folks stand up for kids, they got to know they're appreciated, right? So be on the mezzanine at 1 o'clock, and let's make sure those legislators feel the love. But we want to recognize some community leaders, and I want to take just a second and do that. Senator Raque Adams and Lieutenant Governor, I'm wondering if you'll come up and join the governor so we can do these presentations. We want to start with two young people. We want to recognize Felicity Kruger, who is from Adair County, and Felicity has been involved in a number of efforts, the Face It effort from Kosare Charities, and the True Up. So Felicity, thanks for all you do. Here, why don't we come up here and see where you a guy who has played such an important role when we think about child welfare as our next recipient. And he does a lot with peer involvement, but let me tell you what I'm proudest of. We had a group of foster care alumni who worked with Secretary Friedlander. They conducted a qualitative research study that would have gotten them a doctorate. I mean, high-level research, and they've come up with powerful recommendations. They are flat-out brainiacs when it comes to child welfare. And the leader of the pack, in my opinion, is Eltwan Dawson. Come on.
Good work. Yeah. Congratulations. There you go.
3 community members deserve our deep appreciation, because there's a lot of ways to overcome for kids. The first way to overcome is innovation. That's why we're recognizing Barry Allen, who is the president of the Gaines Foundation. Barry caught the fever around adverse childhood experiences a couple of years ago and has absolutely galvanized the foundation community in Kentucky to make a difference. The easy way to do it is grant making, as always. You've introduced innovation. Thanks, Barry Allen.
As he's coming off to be a part of the picture. Here we go.
I don't know if you have noticed, but there's growing differences when it comes to public education. That kind of makes me sad. But a clarion voice that always brought people together is my friend and my mentor, Dr. Leon Moonaghan. Dr. Moonaghan. And what I love about Dr. Moonaghan is that he is not content to just think about reading, writing, and arithmetic. He's a guy that thinks about how kids grow up. That's why I've invited my friend Will Meyer, who runs the River Region CASA, to be part of this presentation, because Dr. Moonaghan is involved in so many efforts ranging from United Way to CASA. He's a guy that gets kids need great schools, but they need great communities. Leon, you are absolutely the voice for kids. Thank you so much. Finally, if you think that it's tough if Julie Raque Adams and you are squaring off, I mean, one of the most frightening words that an elected leader ever got was, Debbie Yetter is online too. You know, Debbie Yetter practiced rigor and commitment to journalism and literally changed the landscape for kids on issues ranging from child fatality to child welfare. That's why she's here, and we've invited Veda Morgan from the Courier to come and co-present. Veda, come on up. Thank you all. Thank you. Thanks, Governor. Thanks. So we appreciate Debbie, Leon, Maggie, Altuan. Thank you so much for all you symbolize, and we hope that we can draw on the inspiration that you give us all. Barry, thank you for being here. Let's give them one more round of applause. So we have one final award. We mentioned that we're going to do a lot of legislative awards at 1 o'clock. We wanted to do a symbolic legislative award this morning. And that was easy for me to do because I believe that there are green lights in the General Assembly when it comes to child welfare, when it comes to economic well-being, when it comes to health. I believe that the most critical fight we have faced in years is coming on juvenile justice. We are either going to overcome the juvenile justice opportunities and create a system to get kids put back on track, or we are going to regress more than a decade and lose a generation of kids. And let me be clear that we're at a crossroads, and I don't know which direction that we're going to go. But I'll tell you a key player. Last year, some of the worst legislation that I've seen came out of the House. It would have locked up kids for missing school. And we can't go back to that kind of system. Very candidly, there was chicanery in the Senate, and that bill was attempted to be placed in committees where it would just kind of breeze through and kids would have lost. I am absolutely convinced that the reason that kids have a shot in the General Assembly for a decent approach to juvenile justice is because of Senator Whitney Westerfield. Now, Senator Westerfield has a lot of KYA awards, so I didn't want him to get bored. So I tried to invent a creative approach. First thing I did was ask him what his favorite sport was. Turns out college basketball. Senator Westerfield, I believe the initials you need to know are NIT, just so you know. But I think the Lieutenant Governor would tell you. I think the Lieutenant Governor would tell you that while offensive players get the publicity in basketball, those three-point shooters, it's the defensive guys that win games. So each year, the best defensive player in college basketball gets the James Naismith Award. Dr. Naismith invented the game of basketball. So Senator Westerfield, come up here, and we are going to present you with the first KYA Defensive Player of the Year, because it was your defense last year. I am absolutely convinced it was your defense last year that saved Kentucky's kids. We want to see you and Senator Raque Adams and all of you turn that from a defensive stance to an offensive stance. Let's not nibble at, let's revolutionize juvenile justice in Kentucky. Senator Westerfield, thanks for your leadership. Well, sometime good things happen. We had some colleagues who were at a community event in Eastern Kentucky, and they came back and said, "Did you know that Miss Kentucky is wild when it comes to kid advocacy?" I said, "No, I didn't, but we've learned that since." So Hannah Edlin is here to end this, and Miss Kentucky has a platform when it comes to vulnerable kids in Kentucky. Thank you for being here. Hannah, thank you for being here, and send us out on the good note. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Hannah Edlin, and I am Miss Kentucky, the official spokesperson for Kentucky Proud and an advocate for our kids. Are y'all excited? If so, let me hear you make some noise. All right, sounds good. I want to know, by a show of hands, how many of you in this room have ever had someone advocate for you? It could be a teacher, a parent, a legislator, even a friend. Look around the room. Wow. I want you to think about how that made you feel. I want you to think about how that made you feel for someone to advocate for you. For me, my advocate was my high school teacher, Sarah Rakes. She invested in me, deeply believed in my ability, and gave me the courage to use my voice. Because of her advocacy, I felt empowered to overcome some of my personal challenges that I endured at home, and her advocacy helped me create a bold and big future. When we advocate for kids, we help address the challenges that they face and ensure the resources, support, and opportunities are in place for their future. But most importantly, we empower kids to use their voice in their lives. Now, I want you to take a moment and think about what I asked you earlier, about thinking about what it felt like to be advocated for. That feeling that you were worthy. Kentucky kids are worth fighting for. As we close out today's rally, I would like to remind all advocates that this is not the only event of Children's Advocacy Week. There is still a lot of legislative session left. Visit the Kentucky Youth Advocates website to see the rest of the schedule for Children's Advocacy Week. Look up contact information for our legislators and check out the blueprint for Kentucky's children policy priorities. Thank you, advocates, state leaders, for showing up for kids today and for being here. Now, to end this, we are going to create some excitement in the rotunda. So I want my Kentucky Youth Advocates, Health Youth Advocates to come on up and help me with a cheer. Now, this cheer goes, vote for kids. Join me, vote for kids. 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 Thank you all, and I hope you continue to advocate and vote for kids throughout this legislative session. Thank you all, and have a great rest of your day. Vote for kids.